50 years ago, I started in the sculpture, and the first piece I did was made in steel, and I have progressed away from the steel over time, and this piece is a more recent piece. And that piece has made me realize that I work in 4 dimensions, not 3. I spent time in the Navy and flew as a aircrew on C-118. That period of time gave me an appreciation for the airframe, the motors, the sculpture of that equipment. Each piece of my work is something that an observer comes up with their own interpretation from, and I've learned over time people want to know where did this work come from, and I look at it as a 3-dimensional Rorschach. While in the Navy, I spent a lot of time at New Hope, Pennsylvania, and George Nakasami had his shop there. He was really influential in having me change from steel work to wood. He had a philosophy on wood that was, wood had a life. That really stuck with me, and it's still with me. The human form has always been an important part of my work. This piece is it's referring to a child. There's a certain childishness and playfulness in that comes through. I have also been very interested in, this particular slide is from Madrid, Spain, the Naval Museum. That was a point when I just was fascinated with all these wooden-hulled ships that just spoke to me. York has been an important influence for me too. The architecture here in town, this particular piece is talking about, as usual, the human form, but then the space between the buildings. It talks about that space, and looking out of that window, you get it reinforced. I worked for, as I said, the landscape architect, and that gave me an appreciation for nature and growing things. This is just, nature always influences my work, and I just find it inspiring, and I can never match that. This particular piece of work is, again, York has been influential on this. So the age of York, the buildings, this particular piece called Reflections, the work in itself talks about the age of the space. This is a piece that is environmental. It started off as a figure drawing, as a figure study, and turned into environmental. The piece spoke to me as I worked on it, and had a change to it. Back to the wings on the aircraft, I'm back here again with, this is one day I spent the day watching a cicada. It came out of a tree and proceeded to expand the wings. So the colors, the shadows, all of that was influential in that particular piece. This piece started off as a theologian. It started off from a very early childhood influence and got changed over time through many other influencing pieces. So to me, the core is there. Most people, it would be hard-pressed to see it. Being observant is really important with artwork. This is just some sand at the beach, and the shadows on this, the light hitting that, and the fact that that changed through the day. As I said, the 4th dimension is time, and my sculpture in particular refers to that. Here you can see a good indication of the shadows that particular piece before, or the slide before referred to. The shadows are very important to this piece. This is exhausted. It's referring to commuting up and down 83 for many years. Again, I like to take walks early in the morning. This is just the morning sky. I find it amazing that so many people miss this. If you get out and walk, the sky changes all all day, but in the morning in a matter of minutes. Again, this is a piece with the human form, and in reaching into this one, I was experimenting with using the plywood to get a different texture on that, which I find worked. And talking about observing things, this is walking down Market Street. There is a building that looks like a brick building. There is a hole punched in the side of it, which shows me that there is fake brick over top of a real brick building. It kind of baffles my mind, but that was... this particular piece is an older piece that was reflecting power, and the person who purchased this piece he picked up on it immediately and had to have it, which is what I love about when somebody understands my work. It's really gratifying. And here's another one that there's actually somebody here who knows this piece very well. This piece was influenced by several artists, and the more I think about it, the more artists that enter into this particular piece, but that one's kind of self-explanatory. Okay, this piece is one that started with the luxury of having two models the day I did that. So I had two models sitting facing each other, their knees together, and you can see the knees on this particular piece. The wood always has a sensuality which creates this story that goes with this. The person who purchased this piece asked her mother, "What do you think of this piece?" And her mother looked at it and said, "I like it, but I don't think I should."